shouted the radios of my ship. I was sleeping in my cabin. As a merchant navy officer, this was my first ship. And I sprang out of my bed. The general announcement was there. All hands on deck! All hands on deck! We have a rescue mission to do! All hands on deck! And when I reached the deck, I found out that 5 miles away, somewhere in the middle of Atlantic Ocean, there was a fishing vessel without power, floating with a crew of 3, asking for rescue. The sea was violent that night, but my hunger for adventure got the best out of me. I volunteered for a spot in the rescue team. But little did I know that that day I will not be rescuing 3 people but somebody else. Madam Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, we were out for a rescue mission on a small boat. We lowered our boat from the big ship and started sailing away towards a small dot of light in the horizon. That was this fishing vessel. After a mile or 2, a senior member of the team on that small boat, which was rocking violently in that rough weather, started feeling sick. He was nauseous. Now the rest of the team members thought that it was quite normal to feel vomitish when you were facing such rough weather. And they thought that he will be fine. So to keep him engaged throughout the rest of the voyage, I started speaking to him. Listening to him and observing the way he spoke, I understood that there is something much deeper, something severe than just nausea that he was going through. His speech was incoherent and his tongue was dragged throughout it. I wanted to raise an alarm. I thought his life was in danger, but I did not have enough information to back me up. Now I recollected my training as a first aid instructor in my merchant navy training days. The doctor had told me that in these situations when you don't know what the patient or the person afflicted is going through, every second counts. So I had to make my decision really fast, but nothing was helping. The person who was sick himself raised hand and said, "Come on, let's go on with the voyage. We have to rescue 3 people. I can manage." So I thought quickly. Now, on one hand, I was the junior most engineer on that rescue ship. Inexperienced, not knowing the seas. Everybody else felt that they knew better than me, and they were right. On the other hand, there was the life of one person probably hanging from my decision. What was the worst that could happen? I thought the worst could happen was severe embarrassment if I was wrong, but that was much, much better than a lifelong regret of inaction. So I decided to step in. I requested the commander very politely to turn back. Of course, they didn't believe me. Why would they? We were almost halfway through the voyage and the light was becoming bigger and bigger. Nobody wanted to turn back. But I persisted. I knew why the person was to be taken to immediate care. I knew why this was so important to turn back. The people, those who were floating, who were supposed to be rescued, they could be rescued later because they were not in imminent danger. But the person who I was attending to, who I thought was in severe problem, he needed immediate attention. So I tried to convince my team members who were not really ready to relent. I showed them why it is necessary to go back to that ship just now, before it is too late. And after a lot of convincing and lot of persuasion, they agreed to turn back. We turned back the small boat, reached our ship, and the moment the second engineer put his first step on the deck of the main ship, he said, "Ya Allah!" and fainted. He took 2 days to recover, and the doctor who treated him told that he was going through severe trauma, which could have led to anything severe. We never knew. Incidents like these made me understand that as hard as it is to stand for oneself, it is even harder to show and stand out for someone who is needing help. And this also changed the way I lead. Always people say you have to lead from the front, but I started believing that you can lead from any place you want. Even when you are the junior most person with the least experience in a boat somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you can still do it. You don't have to be the commander, you don't have to be the boss, you don't have to be the captain. You can lead from anywhere. And this is how I do it. I ask myself, why? Why I need to get this job done? Why it is so important to me? This is the first step. The second step, I try to transfer that why to my team members. I try to show them that this why is important. And this is where my skills as a communicator come into play. I try to convince them with the why, and once they have adopted that why, my job as a leader is almost done. That why acts as a glue for the whole team, and together we move forward slowly towards a common goal. My name is Amaresh, and this is how I lead. I ask the right questions, I convince the right people, and together I try to take them towards a common goal. So do you ask yourself the why before taking up some task? Do you try to convince people by showing them rather than pulling them? How do you lead?